Okay, you wrote on the website that you wanted to work on support stuff. I sent you an email as well. Did you decide what you wanted to work on for the 2 hours?
I did. I think I have a couple different ideas for what we can do since we
Okay.
got. I definitely want to focus on support, especially for solo queue ranked MMR games where I'm often the only one willing to play support.
Okay.
So that scenario happens more often than I would like, but I like to at least talk about that. I have a couple ideas for replays we can walk through, and then at the end, I did make a Morphling game that we could happily go through if there's time.
Okay, sure. Yeah, so we can do a little bit of both. Which hero did you want to focus on first from a replay perspective?
So that's a good question. I've been kind of waffling on this for a little bit. I mostly play Silencer. He's by far my most played hero, and I usually play him as support, but occasionally play him as mid or carry.
Okay.
Um, but I play him a lot, but my more recent favorites are people like Dazzle. I played a lot more Dazzle recently. Some Crystal Maiden, Vengeful Spirit, and Skywrath Mage.
Okay.
So I just finished a Dazzle game a couple minutes ago.
Okay.
That was probably a pretty good game for us to look at, but the other one I was going to suggest was a Silencer game from about 12 days ago. I don't know if those replays.
Yeah, 12 days the match ID's probably expired, so we might not be able to look at that one. But any games you played in the last, usually they last about a week, but they might last longer because of battle passes, so there's a possibility it'll work. We can check it out. Whichever ones you think are better. Some of those heroes are slightly different than others, obviously. Crystal Maiden, for example, is more of a jungling support into plane support, whereas the other heroes are more standard zoning kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
we can get a mix of both, I think.
Yeah, so I try to mix it up and just be useful as opposed to randomly playing a single hero or hitting a random button for
Okay.
at least MMR games. But like I said in my email, I do often wind up playing with guys who have much lower MMR than me. And for that, I either random or try to play carries, whether it be someone like Morph or something totally different.
All right, well, why don't you give me a match ID and we'll hop into the first game then. We can
All right,
start criticizing the shit out of you.
let's do it, man. I'm ready. All right, should we try the Silencer one, or is that just
Sure, that sounds fine. Yeah. Most of the principles that we go over, I'm sure, will cover a lot of different things. What MMR approximately are you, by the way?
So for solo MMR, I'll give you the exact number.
Okay.
Solo is 3971,
Okay.
right? And I usually range between 3.9 and 4.2.
Okay.
My party MMR is 2.9.
Damn, so low in comparison. Do you not play party as much, or do you only play with like the same 5 stack?
Basically, when I play party, I play with the same two guys.
I see. So your MMR is tied to theirs as well. So you're probably deflated in your MMR, and theirs is probably too high. It would be my guess.
That
So
is absolutely correct. And we usually don't, play to win necessarily. We play to have fun for
I
those
see.
times.
So that's 300 MMR of it, or 400, and the other half is just because they always play with you. Yeah, I've
And
seen
there
that happen.
I do notice a lot more international players in those games, whether they're from Peru or elsewhere, but
Oh.
that a lot at that MMR and much less at the 3.9, 4.0 level.
Okay, interesting. All right, you got that match ID?
I do.
Okay.
Um, so the Silencer game is 222-557-9694.
All right, I can download it. You got a positive KDA. Your last hits are pretty high. GPM's pretty high.
It's a long game.
Yeah, you got solid items. It's not that long, 43 minutes.
I guess you're right. Felt longer,
Oh, it says replay unavailable. What the heck?
so it's a little too old. All right,
Yeah, that was your old one, right?
that's fine.
Okay.
Let's talk about a Dazzle game instead.
Okay.
Up right now. All right, 224.
Okay.
719837.
I think I misheard your numbers because I'm not seeing a Dazzle in this game.
All right.
Can you repeat it, please?
It was 224.
224?
Yep.
Okay.
719837.
Okay. Okay. I think my Skype's having some issues right now.
Okay.
Hopefully it pulls through. Maybe all of my internet is having issues because now I can't search for the match ID. 1 second. Looks like the internet's working.
Is it too young? I mean, I literally finished that game about 8
No,
minutes.
it's not even letting me search for it for some reason. It's acting very peculiar.
That's interesting.
My Skype also is acting weird. Can you just type it in Skype for me, because every time I leave that page it gets rid of the number, and I don't want to have to keep asking you over and over again.
Yeah, let me do that. Sorry, my Skype's on my iPad, so I'm having...
It's okay.
I'll type it in.
It's probably just my server. My Skype server is having some issues right now. Someday I won't have to rely on a proxy.
Yeah.
Only reason I wouldn't instantly jump to Discord right now is because usually I do a screen share. Alright, I'm gonna restart my Dota because for some reason it's actually not letting me search for match IDs, so I'll just restart it really quick.
No problem.
But usually I do a screen share, and that way you can see what I'm looking at. It's pretty low FPS, but I should probably look into a better solution than it. But
Makes sense.
I can't really stream it because then it's like delayed by 30 seconds or something like that. I want something that's like live, but semi-high FPS, at least like 30. That way it's not, doesn't make you feel like you're in the Twilight Zone when you go back to real life.
Although that could be kind of funny, you know, just being in Twilight Zone. It's a little awkward.
Yeah, true. Okay, search for match IDs. Alright, the search worked this time. Must have been some weird bug. Alright, 45-minute game. You got Greaves with a Glimmer Cape, looks pretty solid. Yeah, this looks okay. So, shit Spectre build, luckily for you.
Yeah, it is. I think, you know, we kind of pressured him a decent amount, and he was forced away from, I think, what would have been a Radiance Rush.
Okay.
Forced him into Vanguard. But it was a pretty back-and-forth game. I feel decent about it, you know. I would probably give it 5 stars on the Dota Buff Diary question, just because it felt like everyone was actually trying and no one was just flaming for no reason.
That's good. Yeah, those games are always really nice when you get a fully good morale team.
Exactly. There was decent communication, which also is rare, so...
Alright, so why don't you open up the replay with me, and then I'm going to take a look at your player perspective, most likely. Well, let me...
Sure.
Did you purchase the courier? Okay, so you went basically very similar item build that I usually do on supports. Courier, double observer word with a little bit of regen, and you got a mango as well. What's your reasoning for getting the mango?
So the mango is there for 2 reasons. One, and I don't usually get mangoes, period.
Okay.
But for this particular game, I was thinking that we were either going to be facing a off-lane X or a tri-lane, and we actually wound up doing tri-lane versus tri-lane for most of the laning phase.
Okay.
So the mango was mostly there to make sure that I could be somewhat liberal with my heals and still have Shallow Grave mana, which is obviously rather expensive in the early game.
Okay.
30 seconds
Well,
to battle.
yeah, I guess that's an okay justification. I'm fine with it. The fact that you have other sets of regen is good, and obviously you're Dazzle, so you have a little bit of extra heal on top of that, so I'm fine with your choice here. So nothing really to say negatively about your item builds. Only thing I would say negatively right now is that you shouldn't have skilled Shadow Wave instantly. You should always wait to skill until you need to use the ability when you're playing Dazzle, in my opinion. Because if it's a solo off lane, you might want Poison Touch. If it's an axe cutting creeps, obviously you want Shadow Wave. Maybe you're going to get ganked level 1 and a Grave would save you, for example. So that's the only small thing that I would point out. Most heroes this doesn't really matter for, but for Dazzle it can matter since all of your 3 skills can be useful depending on the situation. Alright, they tried to kill you really poorly. So that was cool. And then you guys have a tri-lane. You actually have a really good tri-lane.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay. Yep, and that's an easy axe kill. That guy messed up so bad. Okay, that was good. Yeah, I maybe would have used the Shadow Wave. I'm talking about. Let me share my screen. It looks like my proxy is working a little bit better now, so we'll give this a shot. Oops, and the call dropped. Maybe it's not working. Hey there. I'm not sure what happened, but
That was interesting.
Don't know if you press your spacebar, sometimes that hangs up the call. Maybe I pressed something, not sure. But okay, I showed my screen. You should be able to see it now.
I can see it now.
Okay, cool. So I maybe would have used my Shadow Wave a little bit earlier because like right about here, I maybe would have used it because he's basically got 3 creeps around him. By the time you used it, the creeps were backed away a little bit, and boom. I don't know if he got hit by 3 of those or 2. Not quite sure what the AoE is, but 185 radius. Yeah, that maybe was a triple. I think it was fine. Obviously you guys killed him pretty easily, so that was good. Dazzle quite good against Axe, clearly. That's pretty obvious.
Only in the early game, though, in my opinion.
Yeah, good point, because obviously he cancels Grave later.
Yeah.
And now you guys are going to run around. I like that you lane warded against the tri-lane. That's the good reaction to do. I think I would have been a little bit more confident about your positioning here, because they've already got 1 dead hero. The Undyne's level 1 still, I assume, and you knew that he has Tombstone because he used Tombstone on you in the river. And you know that Phoenix only has Fire Spirits, which do very bad damage at level 1. It's like 15 damage a second for 4 seconds. It's not much. It's like a regular nuke, but it also doesn't disable. So I feel like the Phoenix and the Undyne right now, you don't have to be scared of these guys. So what you and Venge should be doing right now is getting behind them and just right-click the shit out of them. Because while Axe is gone, you know that you have a lane advantage. So I think that's a very slight mistake that you made. Because as you guys chase them, you hesitate a little bit to run after them, like right there. You ran south a little bit, when instead you could have just been positioned here, where the Venge was, and just right-clicking them. So I think you guys could have gotten a couple more last hits in here, and that would have been good. This looks kind of scary, because Axe is coming, obviously, but he's probably got spins, so not a huge threat. Basically, the Venge got right-clicked twice, so that was okay. And now you're basically just aiming to get as much damage as possible, and I'm sure you'll just keep healing creeps whenever Axe gets by them. Yeah. So the one thing you messed up right there is that you need to be as efficient as possible with your mana. And I think you had an opportunity to do a double heal on a creep that would have hit Axe rather than just a single. So that's the kind of stuff that changes whether or not you're going to win a tri-lane or not, because it's kind of a regen battle. You're still here, right?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure. The regen battle is important because if you burn all the regen, then you guys easily win the lane, because any harass you do means that they're going to be zoned out of lane. So I would say just try to maximize the amount of value that you get out of your skills in the laning stage, and this doesn't just matter in a tri-lane, this matters in all situations. Getting the maximum value out of your skill is most important. So like, when I used to be a much worse player, I wouldn't be good at last hitting mid, so I would rely on using my abilities a lot to get last hits, like on Zeus for example. I wouldn't be able to last hit without casting Chain Lightning. So because of that, it limited my mana pool, and that limited my options later in the game. So that's kind of an extreme example, but it's important that you get as much value as possible out of your skills, because you didn't get a last hit with that spell. You only did 1 nuke on the Axe, basically, and you technically healed yourself. But you could have gotten potentially a last hit, or harassed him with 2 times the damage if you used it a little bit better. So using your mana very efficiently is ultra important over the scope of the game. So I just recommend being slightly careful with the way that you do the harass. Small pause. Alright, looks like you're queuing up Arcanes next. You should probably get the Flying Courier since you got First Blood, so that's the only thing I'd say. And I hope that you do buy that. Looks like they're backing off, so you're going to pull, which is good, but I don't know if you'll make it. Oh, you did, nice. So you got a pull going, which is great. Okay, looks like the Venge stacked. I think you're going to be a little bit late on this one. Oh, actually, yeah, it was just a little bit late. You got the idea down. One thing I would say is that I kind of like that he stacked this because it's going to be harder for them to farm it. But when they have a lot of heroes in the off lane or a dual lane, it's usually better to actually pull the medium camp to the left than it is to pull the large camp, because it's so easy for them to just mess up the pull. So even if you didn't mess up this pull here, there's a very high chance that they were just going to screw it up on the way back. So I think if your lane is ultra contested, it's just better to pull the left camp, the medium one. It's a little bit harder. The creeps have to go farther and they're slower usually. But I'd prioritize that one instead of doing this wave.
That's something I should practice, because I actually very rarely go for the medium camp pull through as opposed to the large camp.
Yeah, me too. I almost never do it. Luckily, because he stacked the camp, now all these should get denied, most likely. I maybe would have nuked the creeps actually here, because if you would have, all right, basically these 2 camps are the strongest large camps for killing creep waves. because the Ursas do the clap, they increase attack speed, and the other ones do piercing damage, so they do like 2 or 3 times extra damage to the creeps. So I actually would have just casted Shadow Wave here, because you could have just nuked a lot of this creep wave down. Maybe wait until after he claps, but then cast it, because the delay that you had on, like, as soon as these melee creeps die, this wave is dead. The whole thing is just dead. So basically, yeah, you guys denied the whole creep wave, but you're not going to get more than 1 creep camp here of experience. So you could be getting both, you know? If you cleared that whole camp, or cleared half of it, while also denying those creeps, then that's perfect. But you went a little bit too safe there, I feel. And if you would have killed that camp, I guarantee you'd be like level 3.5 right now, because that's like 2 large camps entirely. And you had enough creeps to actually kill it. So I think you should have prioritized killing that a little bit more. It's basically finding the perfect balance between greed and safety. And I think you could have killed all those with Shadow Wave. One of the few heroes that can do that is Dazzle.
Yeah, it's an interesting subtlety, because I don't think I obviously saw the clap coming, but I did not realize that the trolls did piercing damage. So I didn't expect the melee creeps to die so fast. I was kind of waiting to Shadow Wave it.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting subtlety.
Yep. The piercing damage is a lot. Other things that do piercing damage are like Venomancer wards, Serpent wards from Shadow Shaman, stuff like that. So they do a lot of damage to creeps, but they don't do much damage to heroes or buildings. Is how that stuff works. So.
Got it.
Lots of little weird armor things. I would also probably do a pull here, because your creep wave is pushing. Anytime, you're going to be late for this pull, but what you should do, rather than trying to catch this one, is you should go to the large camp and do the southeast pull. And then you should redo what you did before. So you're stacking here, and that's kind of good, but stacked camps are generally not good for your experience gain. They're really good for denying creeps, but they're not very good for getting you experience. Because like I said in the last example, you want those creeps to die. Because if the creeps don't die, you're not also getting your experience. You're just limiting their experience gain. You want to do both. Because if you don't, then you're gimped on levels. So if you would have killed that double large camp, and then it would have respawned at, we'll say, 3 minutes or something. I don't know if that timer would have hit correctly or not, but then you could have killed that whole camp. You would have been like 3.5. Then you could have gotten back to this pull in time, started it, then pulled the medium camp over to here, or maybe the large camp if it respawned in time, and boom, you'd be level 4 at 4 minutes. If you just did those pulls correctly. And then if you're level 4 this fast, and then you're just trying to zone at level 2 Phoenix, level 2 Axe, level 3 Undying, you have much more levels to give yourself more damage, HP, all that good stuff. So even though you're playing a support, try to focus on playing support while also maximizing your levels and experience gain, because it's very important to do that. So with you doing the stack, I think the only thing that makes this okay is the fact that you're Dazzle, and like I mentioned a second ago, you can also kill these very rapidly if you do Shadow Wave. So when you do this next pull, if you Shadow Wave it and you kill the whole creep wave, or if you kill most of it, then I'm completely happy. But if you don't, then I think you made a big mistake here. I would walk in immediately. See, you already messed up. I would have walked in immediately with your hero. That way you got an extra Shadow Wave nuke. Stand next to the melee creeps. Basically stand in the middle of this. And then nuke the wave. And it might kill it because it would do 100 times 4. That's 400 physical. It might kill the whole creep wave. And then you might push. But you'd also be getting a double stack of small camps. And that's going to give you like, I don't know, 150, 200 gold, something like that. You could spend it on Flying Courier, Observer Wards, a pair of Sentries. So many things you could spend it on. But instead, like I said, you're only denying the creeps. And you're being really patient about it. That was way too few creeps dying there. In fact, the double creep spawn, that spawn there, they're very high damage, so it's kind of the same situation as the large camp. And you just have to know that, like, which creeps have which attributes, which ones don't tank as much, which ones kill the creep waves very rapidly, stuff like that. But the ghost does the most damage at the small camp by far out of all of the creeps, and the gnolls also do a ton of damage because they're also piercing, but the gnolls don't have as much HP, so that's kind of how they're offset here. Now, the next thing that you guys should be doing here in this wave, I'll wait till your camera goes back. The next thing you guys should be doing is, because the Undying isn't here, you guys should be focused on zoning the Axe, and the way that you can do that is go stand by the Venge. So rather than standing behind the creep wave like this, if you are going to be standing near the creep wave, the way you should do it is next to the Venge here. Because if you and Venge were behind Axe, you could probably just kill him. Because you could get the Dazzle or the Gyrocopter to approach, and then you guys could land a stun, get the Rocket Barrage with the heal off, boom, Axe dies. But because you're back behind the creep wave, Venge doesn't feel as comfortable to harass properly, so you need to be on the same page as your other support in a case of a try versus try, or versus an off lane that you can't zone very well. So you made a mistake in that way as well. So you're not getting enough gold from killing the jungle creeps. Your last hits are only 2, which isn't enough at this stage. And you're not quite positioning your hero well enough if you're zoning to zone them better. So by coming over to the creep wave like this, you did slightly protect the gyro, but he didn't really need help. So you basically didn't do one of the two things you needed to do. You either needed to zone heroes, or you needed to pull. And you haven't done either in the last like 15 seconds since you did that small pull. So if you wanted to keep pulling, keep pulling. But it's better to do that than it is to just stand in the creep wave and split experience with the gyro, and also not zone the offlaner. Do you understand?
Yep.
Yeah, so it's protecting the gyro, but he doesn't really need protecting because you guys already got that kill, and I feel like you're winning the lane. So Avenge did eventually go around, but because he was by himself when he did that, it just wasn't super safe. But if you were there, like, look how easily you guys could have killed the Phoenix. And he did die, but that I don't know if that guy just didn't have dive or what. He did have dive, he just didn't use it because he's a freaking idiot. Like, you shouldn't have gotten that kill. So even though you got that kill, don't feel like you did something correct there. It was more like you got a kill because they were bad. So that's something that happens a lot at lower MMRs. They think like, oh, my game is going fine, so naturally I'm playing correctly. But the reality is that it's working because your opponents aren't very good. So stuff that works for me at my MMR, when I play against people that are like 700 MMR higher than me, I look like an idiot. And I realize that I'm like, man, I'm not as good as these people. They're outplaying me. So you gotta remember that even though you are getting kills sometimes, it's not actually because you're playing perfectly.
Yeah, I think we kind of bailed us out on that one.
Yep, exactly. And this is another perfect example of this. What have you done in the last 30 seconds here? You guys killed Phoenix, and then you went back to the creep wave, you nuked the creep wave, you helped push the tower a little bit, you walked over here and bought a magic stick. That's cool, but in the meantime, the creep wave is pushing. Whoever's in the offlane is now going to get experience. You're splitting experience with the gyrocopter, who's still only level 5. So he's got a little bit over you guys, but he should be a higher level, in my opinion, than this. You could have gotten over to prep for a pull. You could have moved over to prepare to stack something. Like, if you stack the large camp again, that's actually pretty good. Because once Gyro hits 6, he can clear that with Flak Cannon and Call Down. So, you walking over here just to buy the magic stick, nuking the creep wave with Shadow Wave, that was actually detrimental to your laning stage. It was a limit of how many resources you were going to collect. You could have collected more resources by planning ahead. And this is the next stage of support play, where even if you know when to pull and stuff like that and why it's good, you need to prepare yourself and get ready to do it, because you've already lost your opportunity for 30 seconds. The creep wave's already here. So now you have to wait. You're going to basically stand around. You're going to stand by your gyrocopter as the tower gets pushed. And you're going to be like, wow, I actually can't do anything here. Like, you can't kill the axe. You harassed him a little bit, but is that really that impactful? It's not really that impactful. It'd be better if you did a side pull and killed this neutral stack, or if you stacked it, or if you did a pull and pulled through, because then you're getting resources as well. So anytime the wave pushes, or the wave is going to push, you need to immediately look at the map and the timer, see when creeps are going to spawn, and get ready to go do that pull. Because right now you're just a glorified denier. You're sitting in lane and you're denying creeps when they get low. And that's not a good use of your hero resources. So same thing, you missed this pull as well. Yeah, you guys are doing some tower damage, but you don't even have a catapult, so usually if you do want to pressure the tower, it's better to do it with a catapult wave, since that creep does quite a bit more to the tower. So, should be back to pulling at this point. We'll see how you react to this here. Again, a little bit of stuff goes on lane, you get a little scared, so you come back again, but it's the same thing. You've missed 3 creep waves now that you could have pulled. And obviously you couldn't pull all of those waves because the camps wouldn't respawn every 30 seconds, but you could have gotten at least one of those waves, maybe 2 of those waves. And if you did that, your level would be 5 at least, and you'd have an extra 300 gold. So the reason you don't have Arcane Boots right now, despite having a kill and an assist, is because you didn't pull well enough. That's the only reason. So you definitely could have more items in the early game than you currently have. So what I recommend doing in the future to figure out, and you'll probably notice this in your games now while you're playing, you're going to be playing a game and you're going to be like, oh, I should pull, and then you're going to look at the map and it's already too late, and you'll be like, damn it, I didn't think of that early enough. So you just have to prepare that ahead of time a little bit, and it's going to make a huge difference in your early levels and how much you zone your the enemy offlaners. It's going to make a difference in how leveled your carry is. Like, if you're playing support perfectly, your carry is essentially getting a free farm lane, and he's getting every bit of experience, and he's going to be by far the highest level in the game, and he's going to be able to buy Midas fast if he wants to. He's basically going to be able to do whatever he wants, and by zoning perfectly and collecting resources for yourself, you're going to get levels, not as many as your carry, but your carry's going to get full levels. Their offlaner is going to be level 1, and then that'll allow him to play like 500 MMR than he normally does, and that'll give you a much bigger chance to win the game if you play your support role like correctly, because your carry guy is going to have such a better start. And some games they're going to mess it up and you're going to lose anyways. But in most cases, just giving your carry a better start is a really good thing. And it's all because of your ability to resource gain independently. So it's hugely impactful, basically. Do you have any questions on any of that stuff?
Well, so one of the thoughts I'm having is that, you know, it just sounds in general like I could have played a lot, I would call it greedier, but I think the answer is efficiently. But for us,
yes,
in this moment, you know, one of the things we had talked about sort of a little bit in chat before the game started was that we want to win this game early and not let the Invoker and the Spectre get out of control, etc., etc. So we had this kind of command, mostly from the gyro, to take towers as fast as possible. So
okay.
all of these moments where I definitely could have been pulling and being a little bit more efficient, I think we were just trying to chip more and more at this tower.
Okay.
To get that momentum started as fast as possible. I definitely don't think it was the most efficient way to push, but that is just one of the things that does happen in these kinds of games, is that there's one person with one idea and no one really questions it, and I just kind of try to do whatever it is to maximize the effort to get that done.
Okay. I see how that's tough, because yeah, you would have to then command over somebody else. But the reality is that their idea is like the start of understanding how to play Dota laning stage correctly, but it's not completely accurate. And Slacks argued with me about the same thing. It wasn't like an argument, but he explained how he wins pubs, and he's like, oh, I just pick Coddle and I blast like every safe lane wave, and we take the tower super fast, and then I go to the off lane and I blast the wave a lot and harass their carry that way, and then we take their tower, and then all of a sudden we have all these towers and we have gold advantage and we win the game. And I'm like, well, you're right, like taking towers gives you advantage, which lets you pressure people, and your gyrocopter is correct about that. It does. But if your opponents are playing correctly, they're going to delay the tower dying by a long time, and they're going to get last hits and gold the whole time they do this. And that's where the problem comes in. If your opponents were a little bit less bad, then they would have been able to just lengthen this, continuously grab experience, and eventually, potentially just kill your tri-lane. And then you guys have split all this experience and it's not as good. So what you really want to do, actually, if you want to take the tower fast, the best thing is to do what I described for at least like 4 minutes or so, 3 to 4 minutes. And then when you're getting ready to push, you wait until a catapult is coming and you do a single pull. And by doing that single pull, the wave will stack with the next wave, and then you'll have 2 waves going in. And then when the wave goes into the tower, the only thing you guys have to do to take the tower, this is it. You have to kill whoever comes to defend it before they pull the creep wave past the tower. That's step 1. And then you have to nuke the next creep wave that comes. If you do that, the tower dies 100%. Because you'll have 2 creep waves with a catapult hitting a tower the whole time. And then your next creep wave will come at the same time as their next creep wave, but then you'll kill their creep wave, in which case you'll still have 2 sets of waves. So that's the easiest way to take the tower, while also minimizing their experience. So you have to keep them low level, like I described, while pulling, while getting yourself levels, while getting gyro levels. And then when the catapult wave comes, when you guys feel ready to push, where you feel content with your levels that you can kill the offlaner, that is when you do the push. So you're the guy that was explaining the strategy is right, but it's a dangerous way to execute it, and it's a kind of a stupid way to execute it. Because if you just keep slamming the creep waves against the tower, 4 creeps by 4 creeps by 4 creeps, they're just going to get more and more levels, which makes it harder to kill them when you actually want to commit to the push with a catapult. So yeah, you guys got the tower at 8 minutes, but that's not even that fast. I guarantee you guys could have done this a lot earlier if you did perfect pulling and perfect zoning of their offlaners. Now obviously that's not exactly possible because they tri-laned, so it's a different situation. But I still think you guys could have done like 2 minutes of pulling before you committed to the hard tower kill. And if you went at nighttime, you could even wrap around the tower. Like you guys could run this way, get behind the offlaner. That way when the creep wave came in, you'd come in from behind him with Venge and Dazzle, hit him with like 1 poison touch, walk into melee range after he gets Venge stunned, and cast Shadow Wave while he gets Rocket Barrage. He dies instantly, right? So I think you could do it better. So you guys are on the right track, but it's not the right way to execute it. It's a way that gives them too many levels before that comes. So after you guys do take the tower, though, let's assume that you did what I explained, and you guys take the tower. So they've got more levels than they should if you did it the way that I explained it, but your guys are definitely still ahead. The way that you guys did your laning stage was good. What do you do at this stage if you want to continue that pressure from your perspective?
So the tower's down, and what I probably would have liked to do is start rotating with the Venge, looking for...
Ooh, call dropped. He must have a bad connection on us. Hey.
Hello.
Call dropped. So you said rotating with the Venge, I believe?
So I was looking for ways to rotate towards Spectre to pressure the spec, and on the way, we were looking for ways to stack jungle camps and ancient camps for Tide and Gyro.
Okay, that sounds pretty good. So let's see if that's exactly what you did. Let me share my screen again. Okay, so you guys took the tower, you backed out. You're level 4, by the way, so you are under leveled. You should be hitting at least 5 or 6 around 10 minutes, if all things go right. You're walking from the safe lane, buying magic wand, more observer wards. You're walking over to ancients, which is good. You guys have got a stack off. That's solid. And it looks like you have Zeus and Tide in the off lane. So, we're walking in the off lane. He taunted you, man.
That taunt was hilarious. I actually applauded him for that. It's hysterical.
Yeah. That was actually one of the most appropriate taunts I've ever seen.
That was great.
But if you were like level 5 or level 6, maybe you had Poison Touch and he could have been gushed by the Tidehunter because of that. Oh, well, he doesn't actually have Gush, but maybe he would have had Gush, for example, and then you could have potentially gotten that kill. So that stuff makes a difference. But coming to the offlane to harass the spec is definitely very good here. I liked it. I maybe would be nuking the creeps. I think that's one thing that you could be prioritizing just a little bit more. As whenever Spectre goes for a last hit, right before he gets the last hit, you nuke the wave. He misses last hit, he takes a bunch of damage. So that's probably the best way to zone them, I think. I like that ward you put down, that one was really good. A little bit of decay going on. And even still, you're splitting experience, so you're gonna hit level 6 so late. Not that it matters that much on Dazzle, but you know, it could make a difference. You could have a poison touch level. Could have more heal levels. Oh my god, that was so much damage. That was like Wave of Terror Anchor Smash, I think. What level is the Wave of Terror? Wow, that did so much damage. Alright, goes in a good fight. Your Gyrocopter TPs, which is a great rotation. Zeus kills the Spectre. That guy heals. Grave? Okay, Grave TP. Yeah, probably would have TP. It was a little dangerous. Alright, I think you played that fight fine. You guys are doing really good. I think the main reason you guys are winning this game is because you're rotating very well. Like, your Gyro came to that fight right away. And Tide had a really good Ravage there. And the Invoker, for some reason, didn't... Oh, he's going Exort, that's why he doesn't have Tornado. He probably should have gone EMP Tornado, I think. Come back to mid-wave to last hit a little bit. Top's pressured now. So what's the best way to pressure Spectre at this stage, when you've already taken their tier 1 tower?
It's a good question. I think we saw him going bottom, and instead of rotating towards him, we decided to try to group up and push middle. Whether that's the best or not is probably a good question.
I would argue it is not the best answer because, but it's not a terrible idea. It kind of depends on how they react. If you look at their lineup, they've got Phoenix, Undying, and Invoker. They don't have very good wave clear, which means that if you guys do push, you should be able to take the tower without them slowing you down. But in the meantime, that would allow Spectre to free farm in a lane. So I think the best way to pressure actually is to go slightly stable in your laning stage. So for example, you could put Gyro down here, or Zeus, or Tide. Probably Tide would be the best because he's tankier and harder to gank, because this is the most gankable lane for your team. Put them down here to farm. And then what you do is you move into the enemy jungle and you put wards throughout it. And the purpose of that is obviously to always see where Spectre is farming, so you kind of know where he is. Because if he's not here, and he's not in his jungle, that means he either has to be mid or in your jungle, which is very unlikely. So if you put the wards that you have into their jungle at 2 different places, such as like a deep ward by their large camp, and then another one spotting like the river spot to see if he's passing through, then you pretty much always know where he's farming and you limit his farming. So while pushing towers does continue to get a gold advantage, it also lets him catch up. And you really don't want to let him catch up. The fastest way he catches up is either by kills or by sending a lane and getting free farm. So in a way, you're kind of right, because if you guys are 5, he can't get a kill probably. But in the same vein, he's getting farm now by sitting bottom, and it's also going to pressure your tower. So if you guys get a tower at the same time as this one spec, you're losing, because he's getting equal resources for less heroes. So you're kind of right with what you're doing. You're saying, well, push, take all the towers, get advantage. But I think doing that while also having map control is the better thing to do. And you can do that. Like, for example, if you go bottom and push it out or something, and push out and ward top really well, and then you guys all 5-man push mid, then it takes Spectre a long time to push to the tower. But now's not the right time to 5-man, because the creeps are already at your tower. If the creeps weren't at your tower, and they were over here, I'd say whatever, go 5-man while putting wards deep. But right now it's kind of a weird thing, because he's getting farm and he might be able to take and pressure your tower. Before you nuke a creep wave, by the way, make sure you're at least getting last hits. I don't think, like, the way you used it there was a mistake, because it limited Zeus's ability to get it, and you didn't get it either. So if you guys are pushing the wave, whatever, steal the last hits. They might be mad at you, but it's about pushing the wave. But just make sure you get the last hits while you do it. Otherwise, you're just hurting the game.
Yep.
Because that was 2 last hits right there that nobody got, that you could have had, that he could have had. So you guys are grouping to push. In the meantime, if you look on the map, they're split pushing you. You guys have barely started your push. He's killed all of these extra creeps, and you guys are going to lose your tier 1 tower for nothing. You haven't even started your push yet. And this is getting them back in the game on a hero that shouldn't be getting back in the game. And you guys said you wanted to pressure him, but this is not the right way to do it, because now he's farming. And he's going to get a free tower, which is going to help his whole team out. Like, your guys' gold advantage right now is ridiculous. You have, like, almost double the net worth. That's, like, an almost insurmountable lead if you're playing the game correct. But you guys let them split push you, and you let them take this tower. So that's where you messed up. If you're ahead, you never let them take towers. That's the basic principle. Don't let them take free towers. Because if you have a gold advantage, they should never be able to take extra resources unless they get ganks off. That's basically... Or the only time you'd ever want to let them take a tower maybe is if you're taking either Roshan or you're taking a tier 2 tower, which obviously has more gold advantage and more map advantage than a tier 1. So that's the only case you want to give up a tier 1. But in most cases, just don't give them a free tower. This Spectre basically came to this lane, despite not being one of the most farmed heroes in the game, and he got a free tower because of it. And that's unacceptable from a tactical standpoint. And it looks like you guys just had no plans to come. Yeah, you just let him get a free tower. You can't let that happen. It's a hugely negative mistake. We'll see how the fight goes though, so maybe you can win a fight out of it, but it's probably not worth it. Swap stun. That was a good heal. I like that. That guy died right away. Call down gets 2 heroes. Yeah, you guys won a great team fight. But they did get a tower, and it's going to affect your net worth. See that little drop there? That's because they got a tower. You'll make it up here with this tower kill. But even still, that basically means that in the last like 3 minutes, all that happened is you guys got 2 kills. And with as much gold advantage as you have, I feel like you guys could have gotten more than that. Somebody should have gone to the bot lane here and stopped him from farming, in my opinion. If you get a tier 2 as well, this is pretty worth it then, I would say. God, I forgot about that vision, it's so weird. Have you played any new games on the new patch yet? Whoa, it shows who it's attacking too?
Yeah.
Wow, that's that one's crazy.
It'll help my new friends a lot.
Yeah, it's good. I think it's overall good, but it's a little shocking and slightly hard to handle, that's all. Wow, did that guy die? That was incredible.
But we're getting really kind of excited and cocky now, and we're going to go high ground at 14 minutes.
Yeah, okay. I have a feeling I know what's going to happen here. There's initiation, you got a call in 2. That was a really good call. Alright, but you guys are still owning, actually. Alright, this is fine. You guys made it work. Well, yeah, you should probably back now. Everybody's out of mana. Yeah, definitely back time. Looks like Venge's gonna feed, maybe? No, you're still killing. Still killing. Yeah, killing that guy's gonna be tough. Okay. This is what happens. Oh, this looks bad. Okay, he also... Every time I think it's gonna go bad, it just keeps going better for you guys. This game looks so over. I'm surprised the game went long.
Yeah.
Oh, is this guy dead? No, he's not. Alright, so you almost got mech here. That was really good for you guys. You guys got so much advantage from that. Yeah,
Yeah.
You like doubled your net worth advantage. Alright, you actually have 2 times as much items as them. This game should actually end in less than 8 minutes if you guys do it right. No excuse.
So we had the same thought. We had the same thought, and obviously it didn't quite happen that way.
Okay, so what do you do right now? What do you think you should be doing?
That's what I was just going to ask. So this is a moment where my entire team is back. Some of them have started to, come back from getting mana, and I did not go back, and I kind of wondered about what's the most efficient thing I could be doing right now, and my thought was to start pushing top, even though I was kind of lacking mana. But I obviously could have gone a whole other set of directions. I could have started stacking jungle camps or taking their jungle camps. So that's kind of a question I should ask.
What you probably should have done is when everybody was low here, you just TP back to base and recognize that if you wait on arcane boots to heal you back to full, it's going to take forever. It would actually take so long. Unless you have like a mana regen item or the rest of your team has arcanes. And nobody else does actually except for maybe Tide. So I think you should have just TP'd back to base. And in that case, where you're missing all of your mana pool and you have a huge mana pool and your only regen is arcane boots, you just go back. Because it's going to give you an extra 600 mana. I guarantee that's going to matter in the next fight. So it'll cost you a TP scroll, but you can go back, you can pick up an observer ward, a smoke, stuff like that. And just carry them for the next push. So Gyro obviously stayed on the map, so maybe he would have been maybe he would have been killed without you there. But yeah, just TP back, go heal. And then again, what should you do with your wards right now?
That's a good question. I don't even know how many I have, but
Just 2 in the shop, none in your inventory. But where should they be right now, with you guys winning by this much?
So typically I'd put one closer to the Roche pit so that we could smoke into Roche at some point for another high ground push.
Okay.
And certainly at least 1 or 2 in their jungle in places that I would hope they would not deward.
Okay. That's pretty much correct, yeah. I would say you don't need to smoke into Roche at this stage because you guys are so stupidly far ahead. What you should have is observer wards checking their approach, basically. So maybe an observer ward on the upper Roche pit. You could put one over here as well to see if they're coming. They may or may not smoke. If they do smoke, then you should usually have a support sitting outside. It would probably be Tide. You would sit Tide outside a little bit. That way you'd have ward vision here. That way if the smoke breaks, you can see them coming, for example. But you don't really need to smoke into it. Smoke should be used to move your team into team fight engagements. If you're way ahead. If you're way ahead like this, you don't need to use smoke to sneak into Roche. You should deward around Roche, put wards in the area that protect you from them approaching, and then easily take Roche. Use the smokes after Roche, for example, to run top and get a kill, and then turn that into a push, is how you should use smokes. But definitely with your wards, they should be placed very aggressively, basically. You could put one behind the tower if they don't see you place it. You could put one on high ground here, because your goal is basically just collapse the map, kill all their towers, push all the lanes so that all their lanes are basically surrounding their base, and you have wards surrounding their base so you can always see if they leave the base. You need to limit their chances to farm, basically. And the best way to do that would be observer wards is one of the best. So you guys do. It's okay that you didn't go back to base, I think, but it definitely would have been more efficient if you did. So again, the other issue with what you guys are doing, because you're pushing so often, your experience gain isn't going to be very good because you're always splitting one experience wave. So if we look at the EXP graph, I bet it's not even close to as far ahead. It's still pretty good, but as you can see, it's kind of flatlining here, and this is because you guys have just been standing still pushing the same wave the whole time, whereas they've been slightly spread out. So hypothetically, if you're playing this game and you wipe a couple times on a team fight, they will catch up. And maybe not as fast to the gold, but to the experience, they will usually pass you or at least equal you. So doing this like all-in push thing is a little dangerous. I think it's good that you're doing it right now because you guys are so stupidly far ahead, but the previous ones that you guys did were a little bit dangerous because their team fight is kind of bad but still okay. The only reason you guys probably won those fights is because Spec bought a Vanguard, I believe, and a lot of the other heroes just didn't have very much team fight impact. Another mistake you guys are making is that you're going high ground on a lane where there's a tower up. Slapped the barracks until they died, whereas this way you're forcing a team fight under a tower that's going to constantly be hitting enemy heroes and really impact the amount of damage that you guys take. Like this is obviously a very good team fight. Good thing you had a gyro, that helps out a lot with the tomb kill.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Yeah, it was odd that the Undying picked Undying after Gyro picked.
Yeah, that was definitely not a good pick at all. Man, it's so cool to see that.
Radiant's bottom
The
tower
attack range and
is
stuff.
under attack. Radiant structures are fortified. Dire's top tower is under attack.
So, this point you guys take the tower out, that's all good and everything. Just like you guys might die here. Or at least time will, yeah. Chop chop. Fall there, but he should get gyro as well. Okay, yeah, so that was a pretty big fight for them. I'm sure they got a stupid amount of gold. Yep, that's the typical 5,000 gold swing. Totally normal stuff. But again, you guys should have just been mid. It would have been a little bit easier to team fight. Tide would have taken way less damage from the tower. He might not have died there, which started all the chops, which gave them more team fight ability, stuff like that. Wow, you actually have great KDA, 2017. That's pretty good, man.
That's all because of that bug change with Weave giving you.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Huh. Dazzle, the new support master, I guess. Small mistake on you pushing this creep wave. Always stand near the creep wave as well, because this does up to 7 targets, but it also counts for yourself. So if you stand in the creep wave when you cast that, you would have gotten like 3 more instant kills, and the wave would have died faster. So just always, if there's nobody around, just stand in the creep wave. Alright, you're going completely standard Dazzle build. You guys smoked into the Roche pit, which again is, it's fine, but and you warded the high ground, which is good. This is fine, I guess. Got the Aegis. Looks like you guys are pushing mid. And going high ground. Again, you guys should have done the racks before, and then this could have been your top lane push, basically. This looks pretty good for them.
That call is devastating.
Oh, you graved the wrong person. How did they win that? I think they just won it from general teamfight stuff.
I thought the Axe had a great initiation.
Yeah, that was the biggest mistake probably, is that you two guys are standing next to each other. And this is kind of a higher level support thing, but you got to remember that what's gonna win you this Rax is not you and Venge hitting buildings. What's gonna win you this Rax is you guys winning a team fight. So by you guys standing here and attacking buildings for essentially inconsequential damage, you guys don't hit that hard. You only hit for about 100 damage, whereas Gyro hits for like 200 or something. So yeah, it would take longer to kill the buildings if you guys weren't hitting the buildings, but you're not in a race right now. You're in a prepping for team fight. You guys are forcing yourselves to be standing in a position where your opponents have a decent way to initiate. So by you two standing together, whoever Axe goes on, it's obviously going to be you guys, because you are the ones that save other people. If the fight started with him going on Gyrocopter, for example, then you're going to instantly cast Shadow Wave on the Gyrocopter, and Venge would probably cast Swap on either the Axe or the Gyro, which basically means that now either Axe is pretty much completely out of position. He would have to pop Blade. Oh, he doesn't even have Blade Mail. He would just die instantly to Zeus, basically. Like, imagine if all 3 of your cores, your Tide, your Zeus, and your Gyro, just stood out of range of call from one another. There's no way for the Axe to go in if he doesn't know where you and the Venge are. So the position that you guys should actually be at is here and here. You just all want to stand apart so that the only disable they have, which is Axe call, won't be on you guys. So yeah, Axe got a good call, but you guys had bad positioning. And that's why you lost this fight. You have plenty of gold. You guys have really good team fight. They have better team fight with their heroes, but your team fight's pretty good. Just you guys were in a bad position. So because of this, for 3 seconds at the start of the fight, you weren't casting Mech, you weren't casting Shadow Wave, and all of your heroes grouped up, and he was doing Axe spins on all of you. The only reason you guys got so low was because Axe spun like 5 times there or something like that. Which meant that now with Sunray, or with the Meatball on top of this, and Phoenix Sun, and all of this other stuff, that's why you guys got low, and that's why you guys died. Like, you just took way too much damage here. So, that's why you guys lost that fight. all because you guys were positioned badly. You didn't get to use a defensive swap. Your grave wasn't very effective because you needed to grave like 5 people.
Yeah.
So, would have made a big difference there. Zeus doing his best. Went okay, but you guys still haven't gotten a Rax yet, you know? It's 21 minutes in, you guys had a stupid gold advantage. Now things are evening out a bit, so now every fight from here gets harder. And it's simply because of those 2 errors that you guys made. The first was that you were pushing top racks instead of going mid racks for the easy racks, and you lost the fight there, which gave them gold advantage, which put them in this position where they were kind of close enough, where they just need a reasonably good initiation and they win the team fight. And then you guys messed up by having bad positioning. So when you're sieging high ground as a support, or you're pushing a tower as a high ground as a support, you almost always just want to stand in the darkness. Like stand slightly far away from your allies at a range where you can counter initiate or support them, but not in a place where your opponents know where you are. Because then initiators like Magnus, Axe, Storm Spirit, they're always going to go on you first. Always, always. So for example, if I'm on the Dire team and I'm pushing this tier 2 tower, I'm always going to stand down here next to these trees, that way it breaks line of sight. Or maybe I'll stand between these 2 trees. That way the only way they can see me is if they're standing here, or they have like a ward or something. Always behind a tree, behind your allies, not letting them know where you are. It's really, really important. So that's why you guys lost that fight. And now because you guys basically 5-manned the whole game, your gyrocopter doesn't have that much farm. Like, for how hard you guys won this game, or we're winning this game, this gyrocopter should at least have his BKB finished by now, easily. But you guys don't have that because you're constantly 5-manning, so you're splitting farm. And now because you took 2 bad team fights, boom, they're in the game. And this is basically what happens in the bad case scenario of what the gyrocopter recommended for a push strategy. Just constantly push. It only works if you never lose a team fight. Or if you only... Basically, if you lose more than 1 team fight, they're back in the game. 1 team fight, you can still win it, but 2 team fights, they're back in the game. If you did it the way that I recommended, where you close out the map a little bit, and then you get an initiation and then go high ground, then you already have a bigger advantage than what they had, than what you would have had this game, and then you would have to lose like 3 team fights, something like that, maybe 4 team fights. So, just slightly affects how many team fights you can lose when you do end up going high ground. Your items, I think, are still really good. Mech is solid. You guys could probably use a pipe, maybe, but I don't think you would have the gold for that. Maybe Tidehunter could have gone pipe instead of Ags. I think that actually would have made a huge difference. Rather than going for utility teamfight items, it's better to just go pipe, I think. Because it's kind of the same thing. Pipe is, it's not really an item that helps you kill your opponents. It's an item that helps you not die in a fight. And that's how you win team fights and go high ground. So if you guys really did want to do this all-in thing, you'd get auras, survivability items, pipe, mech. If you go pipe, mech, Vlads or something on your team, and then you guys go high ground, they just can't kill you. They wouldn't be able to kill you. Even with... If you guys had pipe in that fight, you guys probably still would have won it, basically.
Yeah.
It's like Spect uses ult to get out, which is fine. This means that when you guys push... So you're kind of doing the same thing. You're pushing the tier 2 tower here, which is good. But you could still go high ground, potentially.
Yeah.
But I think this is relatively okay. I think the reason this is a mistake, mostly, is because he just used Haunt in a bad way. Which means you should immediately go into a more dangerous advantage opportunity, which should be mid. Like, you guys should instantly be running mid and take mid racks because he wasted his ult. Zeus also wasted his ult. I don't know why. He shouldn't have. He should have saved it. Because now it's actually not even up by the time Haunt comes up. If you guys just, like, took this tower instantly, ran mid, take mid racks, that's how you guys instantly win. But you didn't take that opportunity. He's gonna be able to get Haunt off cooldown because you guys took the tower and now you're going back to farm. Like, there's no reason for you guys to go back to farm here. Should have instantly gone mid. And now you're eventually going to go mid, but you're doing it so slow. By the time you get there, he's going to have Haunt. You're not going to have... I'm sorry, Zeus ulti will be off cooldown in time, but he's going to have Haunt by the time the next fight starts. You guys should have gone there faster. Instead of running this way, you should have ran like straight to mid and pushed. What the heck is this? Oh, you're going quicker. Alright, this is fine. This guy didn't blink in time, so he's screwed. Okay, and this looks like a guaranteed Rax no matter what. Yeah, you look real dead here.
I felt real dead there.
Yeah, they threw a lot of hate on you guys, so... Everyone's pretty low. This is unfortunate that you died. If you were alive, that would have been really helpful. But it looks like you will still get the racks. Yeah, no problem at all. Alright, and then you should go top and take top racks, I think. Yeah, actually it's kind of dangerous. 2 of the heroes are up in 10 seconds, and a lot of you guys are really low. This looks like another throw now. Yeah. Yeah, you guys should have actually gone back there. Now Spec is going to kill like literally everybody on the enemy team. Yep, man, that's going to be another like 6,000 gold swing. 5,000 gold, yeah. So basically all that, you only got 2 melee barracks, a melee and a range that you should have had earlier. That's because you guys pushed a little bit late. Jungling a little bit while we wait for people to respawn, that part's fine.
Where's my pension?
A little bit of an aggressive ward, farming together, pushing top, which is good, that's where you guys should be. Alright, and now high ground. No new items, really. It's the hunt, you guys should retreat together. You should use weave probably right away. Because as soon as Haunt starts, they're gonna try to take a fight, 100%. Now Zeus really messed up over here in that he didn't retreat with you guys, but you guys all reacted a little bit late. As soon as the Haunt happens, you guys run, because you know that they're gonna try to initiate on you. Like, this is their opportunity to initiate. If they don't initiate on you when he uses Haunt, then their team fight sucks now. It's that simple. So all you have to do is all run away. But instead, you guys just kind of clump together, which is kind of okay, but. And look at this, he ran up this way, that was a complete mistake. And then he ulted himself, which made him out of position for 2.5 more seconds, so this guy's super messed up. Because then he just gets blown up. Who'd you heal? Oh, you just kind of died. You messed up there.
Yeah. So there I actually ranged myself, trying to get in range for the heal, and just misclicked twice.
Oh, I see. That's too bad. Your Venger's doing really good. Oh, he has a hood. That's cool. He could have swapped ult there, I think. Slight mistake. I kind of like his items, though. I think they're alright. So, they probably got a lot of advantage. That one was better, but still could have been a team fight win, I think. Guessing Spec's now going to kill the Avenger or something. It's all in. Yeah. I mean, you guys are inching out your advantage, but it's just, you didn't really have good pushing discipline, that's it. That's the only reason you guys are losing now. So, I don't think we really need to watch too much more of this replay, because everything's pretty straightforward. It's like you guys are just making slight mistakes for team fight and what's safe, and messing them up. We can keep looking at this if you want, or we can jump to another one, but I think it'd be better to jump to another one.
Yeah, let's
Is that cool? Okay.
Yep.
Alright, why don't you give me a match ID then?
Alright, let's go into the Morphling game with one of my friends. The MMR is going to be a bit lower.
Okay, I'm guessing you were playing carry this time, right?
Yes, this is, I think, safe lane Morphling.
Alright, what's the match ID?
224.
Okay.
842.
Okay.
5147.
Okay. Alright, your KDA is pretty good, 11, 1, and 11. Your GPM is pretty high, 678. Your items are solid. 49-minute game. Yeah, that's a 6 slot. That's pretty good. And you're against an anti-mage, Puck, Doom, Lifestealer. Alright. Looks pretty good.
So I think in general, when I go into these kinds of games, the mindset is different. When I'm playing with my friends in particular, it's, again, more about having fun as opposed to all in for winning. But what usually winds up happening is I just pretty quickly learn to mistrust my teammates and wind up doing my own thing for far too large a portion of the game. So
Okay.
I need to kind of understand how to either control them more, whether there's a communication barrier or not, or what kind of things I can be doing to just be more efficient in the early parts of the game.
Okay, so we'll look at efficiency then. We'll assume this. We'll basically watch this game as if it's a solo queue as well. And assume that all of your allies can't understand you. Alright, first mistake, you didn't morph in base, so you lose mana here. But I'm sure you understand that one. Your starting items are fine. Fast Basilius or whatever for mana regen and damage.
'Tis my waters rise.
Got the bounty rune. You probably should let Storm get that, by the way, because it's better for mid usually.
Agreed, but he was a little far away. I didn't quite know if he was going to make it back.
I mean, if nobody was contesting, then it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Your Omni Knight's messing up by aggroing creeps, and you as well. You shouldn't be following this. This isn't worth it, in my opinion. I mean, it's kind of okay that you move that way, but the fact that the range creep is aggroed, and you also aggroed a creep there, you messed that up. If you're playing carry, you can't mess up the creep equilibrium. It's the most important thing as a carry. So you got that last hit, but right there, you right-clicked him, and you see this melee creep now came and followed you.
Yep.
And because of this, like, he already messed up the creep equilibrium because he ate a creep, so he messed up there. But you messed it. The Omni Knight messed it up by aggroing the range creep, and you messed it up by aggroing the melee creep, which means that now 100% this wave is going to push against the towards the Doom, which means he's going to get more levels and experience than he should get. It might get... Alright, it actually got saved because the creep's unaggroed, but that was kind of dangerous. So you got to be really careful about when you right-click. For example, you didn't even need to right-click the Doom there. You weren't within attack range yet, so you should have waited to right-click until you were outside of the aggro range of the creeps.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So that part's pretty important. I like that you're trying to help him get zoned. And it's good to do that posturing, but most of the time the most important thing is don't aggro. Your last sit-in's pretty solid. It's a little bit weak, but it's fine. Creep wave's getting pushed. Omni Knight's doing a good job zoning, with the exception of that aggro. So this part's all good. We're just going to watch this part really fast, because obviously carry in the laning stage is pretty straightforward. Last hit creeps, occasionally help zone.
Bottom tower is under attack.
For the dead.
Alright, your equilibrium's still good.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Only other thing I would say is go buy your items. Like, you definitely could have purchased your items by now. I know you don't have item slots, but I mean, you could sell an Ironwood branch or make the Basilius, you get 6 more damage, stuff like that. It would definitely help. Do messed up creep equilibrium again. You went 2 Morph Carry. I don't really like that personally. I think you should definitely go 2 waveform. Like, I know it gives you 1 extra strength and agility, and you can morph more, but you don't really need to morph. You need the possibility to kill, I think.
Sure.
So you should go 2 waveform for sure. Omni doing a good job. So looks like you're making Aquila, sending it from base. Again, you didn't need to buy Sage's Mask in base. You could have bought that over here. Which mostly limits you for the fact that you could have had 6 extra damage this whole time and might have been able to zone the Doom better. You wasted your Clarity Potion, but I'm sure you figured that part out. At this point, what needs to happen is you guys need to do a pull. So, it's... And again, you're maxing out Morph over Waveform. You can't do that. It's absolutely not worth it. The extra stats... do you get it for the stats or for the shift rate? Like, why are you leveling this out max first?
You know, it's a little bit of both. At this point, I was doing it mostly for the last hitting.
It's not worth it. It's 1 damage, man. It's literally 1 damage per level. Absolutely not worth it. And it gives you, what, 19 more HP and 1/7 more armor and one more attack speed. It's not worth it. Absolutely max waveform first. Well, you max them equally. You'll go like 303, 404, or maybe get your ult at 6. But you can't not max waveform. Like, I'm pretty sure you guys could have gotten a kill by now. And yes... Like, if you got Basilius right away, for example, you would have had that extra mana regen. You would have had an extra 0.65, which is a huge amount in the early game. You could have just, like, for example, chased the... When there's no last hitting going on, for example, or when you just last hit, walk past the creep wave, right-click the Doom once or twice. Or maybe walk past the creep wave, waveform the Doom when his creeps aren't around, so you don't push the wave, and then walk back to the creep, keep last hitting. If you do something like that, let's imagine you waveformed him like 2 extra times in the laning stage, he would be 1 more tango less, for example, or 2 more tangos less, or maybe his HP would be at 30%, and you could do like you guys can actually kill this guy. You could do a waveform into a purify from Omni Knight, and just nuke him like that, and all it costs you guys is 1 spell each, and he takes like 300 damage or something like that. You could waveform into like 3 right clicks. Like, you could just easily do that, and you're not really doing that pressure. I think you're focusing a little bit too much on last hitting, and you're last hitting fairly well. And you've got your Aquila and your boots now, and that's cool and all. It's like you guys do eventually kill him, but that was because of a gank from Storm, not necessarily because you guys pressured the lane right. Taking the tower here was really good, though. I like how you guys did that. That was good. So you buy Power Treads next, it looks like. I'm okay with that because you have a lot of regen. If you had a regen, I would have recommended maybe Perseverance first, but or at least the Ring of Health. I would do a pull here most likely. I don't know why are you running this way?
We had someone trying to call for a gank on those two people, but it was not going to work out.
Yeah, exactly. And your skill build is again not good. You can't get ulti at 6. There's very rare cases where you will get your ultimate at 6. Your ultimate is almost always gotten at like 9. The only heroes that I would get it for are if you're laning against Anti-Mage, because then you can mana burn him with his own illusion. If you're laning with a Viper, you can get it because then the passive from the Viper illusion would affect your opponents. But other than that, you don't need it this early. If you really need to TP back to base and you don't want to have to walk back after, you could get it. But right now you're a level 6 Morphling and all you have is your right clicks and 175 damage nuke. That's not good enough. You have to max out your waveform and your adapt and your morph. You can maybe leave morph at level 3, but in most cases, you max out waveform and morph equally. You don't get your ult at 6 though. It's not useful and it's really expensive on mana. You spent like what, 150 or something to cast this? Or maybe is it cheap to cast but expensive to transform? I can't remember.
It's cheap to cast, it's 25 mana to cast, and 150 to actually use it.
Okay. But you basically used it, and then you walked all the way over to this camp to farm it. Like, what's the point?
Mm-hmm.
You could have, instead of walking to the rune spot like this, you could have just walked over. Oops, go to free camera. Instead of doing that, you could have just walked over here, pulled this camp north. It wouldn't have killed the whole camp, but at least then you're not taking the damage. Or, if your waveform was level 3, you could just attack each of these creeps like twice, waveform the whole wave, it dies. Boom. You take no more than 200 damage, pop a tango, walk back to lane, keep getting last hits. Like, until Doom gets level 6, you don't really have to worry that much. Because you can get out of everything else they do, except for, like, Anti-Mage draining your mana. If he Dream Coils you, you just waveform through it and it doesn't stun you, for example. So you're instantly going to the jungle in a position where it's actually not very efficient to do so. And the only way it's good to jungle is if you can use waveform a lot and if you have lifesteal usually. Because as you can see, you have to like really stay at range. And you've got the regen for it. This was good that you waveform that, but again, you only had level 2 waveform, so it takes you longer to right click it because of that. Like, you would have done an extra 75 damage. You probably attacked like 15 times there, so you did 15 extra damage because you're morph level, but your waveform easily would have done more. Not even a competition there.
Yeah.
You're back to lane now, which is good. You maxed out morph all the way. Again, wrong build. You don't even have the mana really to utilize this. And you don't have that many stats anyways. So, definitely not needed yet. Morphling basically, like, if you look at Morphling as a hero and you compare him to somebody like Anti-Mage, for example, Anti-Mage farms really fast because he can blink from camp to camp, and because he buys a Battle Fury, which makes him do cleave damage. If you compare that with Morphling, how does Morphling farm faster in your opinion?
Yeah, I guess it should be with waveform.
Exactly, because waveform is like blink, and it's also an AoE nuke. And that's why it's good, because it's getting you from place to place while also doing AoE damage. So the way that you farm fast with Morphling is not just right-clicking with treads, because any carry can do that. It's by right-clicking with treads rapidly, always having good attack speed and base damage, but also using waveform to go from camp to camp. So the fastest way you can do this, for example, let's say you've got 4 waveforms, you attack this creep until all of the creeps are less than 325 HP, because you know waveform will do that much. So you attack them all until they're 325, and then you waveform in the direction of the next place you're farming. And by doing that, you're not only nuking the creep waves, but you're also positioning yourself, 500 units closer? So it saves you 3 seconds. And if you do that over the course of like 3 minutes, you've saved yourself something like 30 seconds, or 20 seconds, or 25 seconds. And that's how you get efficiency. That's an extra 25 seconds of farming, for example, or getting 25 seconds that you would normally be walking somewhere that gives you more opportunities. That's how you get advantage on Morphling. You basically got advantage because you last hit well and you didn't die. But you could have also done it with Morphling advantage. Or you could have done it with Replicate. Cast Replicate on your ally, run it to a wave that's about to be farmed, push your wave out really fast, and then teleport there. Then you're increasing the speed at which you farm, and you're spending less time teleporting places.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
I like the amount of HP that you have because you do have to worry about Doom, so I think that part's good. Regen item's good as well. So this is good. I maybe would have when the Omni Knight was by you. I think he was recently by you. But I maybe would have made a replicate of him. Maybe not level 1, I guess, because it doesn't last very long. But and again, here, you had used 2 waveforms on that creep wave because it was only level 2. And it would have done double the damage each waveform if you had level 4 waveform.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Alright, you got Perseverance now. Again, farming.
Radiant's bottom tower
Next thing you should do at this stage is probably push really fast. And the reason for that is because you can farm more rapidly. Which kind of looks like you're doing. You are pushing this. But again, same thing. You could waveform this. Yeah. Again, you got an adaptive strike too early. Usually you get replicate at 9, adaptive at 10, and then replicate again at 11 is how you should do it. Which I assume you'll basically build into eventually. The only time I would grab adaptive earlier than that is if you don't have like a way to interrupt a TP early on or something. It's maybe the only way. Pushing the lane is good. Again, you can wait from the creep wave, perfect. But again, would have died faster if your waveform levels were better. I also probably would have salved here because if you get doomed right now, you're gonna die. They shouldn't have let you take this for free. This only happened because your opponents are bad. But shifting over to jungle, all good. I would have pulled that out just a little bit so you took less damage. I definitely would have salved there. Just being a little bit greedy about your HP, but it'll be fine. Yeah, perfect. What you did there was perfect. Except the only difference was, oh, he was farming this camp. Okay, so you didn't pay attention to that. If he wasn't farming this camp, you could obviously waveform past the trees. Don't go this way, 'cause that's a little bit faster. But if you did see he was there, you should obviously waveform to the left, which is your next camp to farm. Use your salve, all good. Made a replicant of Viper, I like that. I maybe would go scouting with it, something like that, or put it in a position where it's going to spot if they're trying to wrap around on you guys.
Yeah, I had it kind of trying to scout for defensive areas, but not the ones they actually were standing in.
Yeah, standing there was alright, I think, but maybe not amazing. I would definitely send in the Viper illusion, though. You should use this. It's got corrosive skin. Just go hit the puck with it, for example. It's worth it. Storm didn't need to TP here, but he did for some reason. AFK jungling, I would have waveformed that as well. You would have killed a lot faster. And honestly, I kind of feel like you could just right-click this thing. Like, Morphling does a lot of right-click damage. I feel like he's decent against that. Oh, this guy's got messed up. Yeah, I just... Yeah, you could right-click the Lich maybe and kill him. I would waveform this. Yeah, I think I would have gone for that, honestly. His mana pool is not very big. Like, because waveform's a pretty low cooldown ability. It's 11 seconds. So that's another thing that makes you good against heroes that have weak disables. Like, if he just has a slow, you could have waveformed him there and just kept chasing him until you can waveform again. And then he dies. He will still die, but you could have been the one that killed without Storm having to come. Yeah, you're not going to be able to kill that for a while, but I think you can definitely trade with it. Your hero hits hard enough, as long as he doesn't use the fire spell, then you can't stand in that, but as long as he doesn't use that, you can definitely right-click this thing. So the Ancient Black Dragon doesn't attack well. The only one you can't really trade with very well is maybe the large golem. That thing has really high armor, so and higher damage. So back to jungle, you stack that. That was really good. Finishing out perfect. Again, only mistake is you needed to waveform to the right instead of north.
Yep. So the jungling now commences for possibly a little bit too long.
What commences too long?
The AFK jungling.
No, that was fine. That was absolutely fine because you don't have your Lincolns yet. You're worried about either Mana Void, which is a huge threat, or Doom. Both of these are big problems. So AFK jungling right now is fine. Like, you guys don't need to push. What you guys are actually doing is overreacting to pushes and heroes and stuff. Like, Storm keeps TPing to a lane where you guys should have been able to get the kill without him, and that's kind of your guys' fault. But what I would have done here after killing this creep wave is you either walk over here to start this, or you just stand here and wait for this to respawn, and then you start jungling back through. So then you'd wait for this to respawn, kill it, pull the creeps out, waveform to the next camp, kill this, walk over here, kill this, walk up here, waveform up, kill this, go over here, kill this, and then push the wave out. That's what you should be doing right now. Instead, you walked mid and said, well, we need to push. You don't need to push, necessarily. You guys can push with one hero. Like, Storm Spirit can push this by himself, get the full creep wave while you're jungling, while Omni Knight and Bane and Viper set up a kill on the bot lane, for example. It should be... You guys should be moving around the map to get kills, mostly, not to get towers. You guys can get towers with just either you or Storm Spirit, I feel. But these 3 heroes should be ganking. Or Omni-Knight should be sitting behind one of the 2 heroes where he's expecting a Doom to be. So you guys are eventually... I mean, I think it's okay that you guys push, though. This tower is pretty big. That guy died. Definitely don't use level 1 Adaptive Strike if you're all agility, it's not worth it. Does very little damage. This guy messed up. Like, it's good that you guys push, but they all reacted. So as soon as that happens, you guys have to back. I would maybe go a little bit more into agility here. I think your HP is a little too high with Lincoln's. Okay, that's pretty good. Perfect. So yeah, you figured this out.
I just did it for a very long time.
If you don't, you should stack this if you don't kill it in time. Looks like you're gonna be okay. See, you messed that up. Should have been looking at the clock. If you looked at the clock, you would have gotten it low, waveform north, let it respawn, kill it again. Instead, you start on a small camp, and now you have some jungling inefficiency because you blocked this.
Dire's bottom tower
All these
is under
efficiency
attack.
things add up to probably like 100 GPM
Dire's
if you do
bottom
them perfectly.
tower is under attack.
And you go over here, kill this, and then again, it's respawning, so you should probably step out, wait for it to respawn and kill. Perfect.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
And yep, farm this or go left.
Dire's top tower.
Like, this is fine. What you're doing is okay. As long as you guys are also reacting to towers while you do this, you're going to find that if you just get better at maximizing your farm like this, you're just going to crush games just by naturally having more farm than your opponents. Because in the meantime, they're not using their time efficiently as well. Like, they're not getting kills, they're not getting team fights, they're not pushing towers, which means you should just be passive as well. Like that, you can literally win all games at this MMR by picking carry and farming at maximum efficiency. Like, you don't even have to show up to fights. You could just, and eventually when you do, you're going to have so many more freaking items than them. They're going to have like a whole BKB plus another item more than them. And you're just going to crap on them because of that. Like, let's compare what the anti-mage has. He's been AFK this whole game, and he's got 91 last hits. And you've got 145, because you've been farming much better than he has in the jungle. Because he doesn't apparently know how to play anti-mage very well. Or doesn't know how to farm as well as you do. Like, that alone, your net worth is surely higher than his. And it's higher by about, what, 2,000 gold almost? That's a huge magnitude at this point, especially against an anti-mage. So, like, you may think that you're AFKing too much. You're not. You're doing it just fine. You're actually AFKing slightly bad is the only problem. Just not quite fast enough. You could be maximizing your farm. Like, it's not a big deal that you're not in fights until, like, the only time you should go to fights, basically, is if your team does a team fight. Like, if there's a fight by your tier 1 tower and all of your team is there and you're not. TP to that, that's fine. Or if your team's like, we really need to take this tower, then you can do that. Like, basically what you did in the early game, you pressured the tier 2. That's a perfect example of farming while pressuring. So, those are the things that you guys should be doing. So it may feel like, oh, I'm not with my team, I'm not team fighting, but you can do that. You can team fight by saying, I'm going to push this wave, supports back me up. So if you push out bottom, for example, let's say the tier 1 tower is still here. If you push out bottom and your supports are there, you're farming, you're taking a tower, you're pressuring your opponents, but you're also farming at the same time. And then once the outer towers are gone and you guys have some map control, then you can just start AFK farming, basically, and do what you have been doing. So, like, what you're doing here isn't that bad. It's really not that bad. And you're farming fairly fast. It could be slightly more efficient, but don't feel like what you're doing is negative to the team. It's only negative to the team because your team doesn't know how to initiate team fights or get shit done by themselves. These guys should all be setting up ganks. Like, I don't know if this guy's even used Fiend Script this game. Is this one of your friends?
Yes.
Okay, try to be a little nice to him. But what he should be doing is, when he's 6, he should basically get a smoke and go to a lane where there's a hero, and one of your heroes as well, and he should kill somebody. I don't even know if he's Fiend Script all game. I just see him die. So, like, he's the one that should be eating kills. It's not about you to go to a lane with him and set up a kill. It's his job to go somewhere and set up a kill with Fiend Script where another ally is. Or he can say, he can walk to you with a smoke and say, hey, let's go smoke gank this lane. I'm going to Fiend Script. It shouldn't be your job to say, hey man, grab a smoke, walk to me, let's smoke, then we'll go get a kill. He should be doing that generally independently of you. He should be setting up kills that force lane rotations while you AFK farm. Until the point where you get items that you can do the one that creates space with things like Ethereal Blade, for example, which I don't know if you buy that next, but he ends up dying again. Still no Fiend's Grip. But honestly, you've been playing fine.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
I think the reason that you're out farming everybody so much is just simply because your party MMR is a little bit low. This Doom's actually farming quite fast. But he went Midas and Max Star, so makes sense, I guess. That was good. Jungle farm, go top, pressure the AM. Just make sure you make a replicate of him there. Free mana drain. That was good. Yeah, you're farming this perfectly, and I'll go to the creep wave next and push that. Alright, this is the only thing you messed up here. I don't know where you're going here. Maybe because there was a fight or something. But after killing the next creep wave isn't here yet, I would have walked around and killed this creep wave, and then the creep wave would meet again, and then I would walk out and kill that. So you could basically kill 2 creep waves and a neutral camp in less than 30 seconds. Instead, it looks like you're walking across the map to walk to another neutral camp. So this is where you mess this up. Always go for creep waves if you can. Otherwise, go for neutrals if the wave is pushed out a lot. And in fact, this looks like a fight you should show up to. So we'll see if you TP'd. Oh, you just walked to it. That's okay, I think. Oh, that's a Fiend's Grip. It happened. Alright, this is pretty obvious. That's one of the creeps.
Watch over us.
Oh, that guy got blown up. Alright, you can easily kill the same. Okay, good. Okay, good. Yeah, this is kind of dangerous. Alright, that's fine. Did you go E-Blade here? Is that your build?
Yes.
Okay, I think that's fine. It's not very good against AM is the only problem. A little bad against Lifestealer as well, and in some ways kind of bad against Doom. If you get doomed, because then you can't cast E-Blade. If Lifestealer uses Rage, then your E-Blade's wasted. Against AM, it's reduced by a Spell Shield. So kind of going E-Blade here might have been a mistake. Maybe it would have been better to go like Manta or SNY or something. The reason SNY would have been okay is because then you could slow the Lifestealer creeps, even though they're magic immune. Good against Anti-Mage, similar thing, it's just like a physical damage item, gives you mobility advantage. Against Doom, you'd still be running fast, stuff like that. That might have been the better build here.
Would you have gone for a Scotty before either of those items?
It's a possibility, but I think against these heroes I'd prefer to have some movement speed. So either the Manta, probably Manta honestly, because then if Doom goes on you, you can Manta and you'll have Lincolns, so he'll probably not be able to guess which one's the real one or break the Lincolns. If you're against Lifestealer, you can Manta off Open Wounds, and also he won't know which one's the real one, and you'll do a lot more physical damage. Against Puck, he'll silence you. You can Manta out of it. I think Manta just would have been really good this game. Only downside is that Chain Frost could technically benefit from it, but that's about it.
Radiant's top tower is under attack. Radiant's
Pushing mid. I would definitely push mid here. This is good.
Radiant's middle tower.
That's great.
Has fallen.
And now you got the E-Blade. Alright, so now I would heavily go towards Agi right now and see if we can get a kill. Okay, still farming.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Sorry, I maybe would have waveformed there. Like, you've got a Lincoln's and an Aqua, you've got tons of mana regen, you should definitely waveform all the time now. 100%. What the heck was that?
Someone exploded.
Okay. I don't know why he didn't press any of his buttons there, but yeah.
Dire's middle
I
tower.
regret being rude and laughing about it, but I don't know why he didn't rage.
Yeah, that was weird. Again, if you see Anti-Mage use Replicate, it's basically Anti-Mage is actually the counter to Morphling in the late game, but Morphling counters Anti-Mage in the early game because of Replicate. So hypothetically, you could have farmed your Lincolns, then gone to whatever lane AM was in and just kind of pressure him making a Replicate. Let's hope you get the courier. That doesn't look like it. Oh, maybe. Alright, luckily he was really dumb. Like, honestly, I think you can pressure this guy a little bit more at the AM. You just have to be a little careful that he doesn't ult you.
Yeah.
But with Lincoln's, he can't do that unless somebody else is there. It's pretty good. I probably would have pushed it one more wave. Oh, you found him, and he drained all your mana.
Fiend's Grip.
He Fiend's Gripped. How did this happen? You basically blinked to your... accidentally blinked to your wave. Oh, and you E-bladed a creep. Okay. Alright. Team backed you up. Yeah, you're definitely way too high in strength, honestly. I think you can get away with, in most cases, 12 to 1400. You might be scared to do that because of Doom, but all you have to do is morph strength before he dooms you. So as soon as he blinks in, you just start morphing strength, and then he can't kill you. They get you a silence if they did that, but honestly, you're quite farmed. I see that their whole team is farmed. This is actually a very difficult looking game, but I think you could have been using your farm for more value. I think at this point you are kind of AFKing too much, so I think this is a stage where I would say you're not doing enough. And that's because every time you see her, you don't even try to kill them. The only time you did is when AM went on you, and that's not enough. Like, you should use at some stage your farm to see if your opponents make mistakes. And that's kind of how Morphling works. You like poke them a little bit and understand that you can get out of kills and deaths, and you see if they make a mistake and see if they let you kill them. And especially with E-Blade, you should be looking for kills 100%. Heroes you can kill. Boom! Lich has 900 HP. He dies every time to your E-Blade combo. The other ones, these are all hard heroes to kill. And that's maybe another reason that you shouldn't have gotten your E-Blade. But if you get an E-Blade, you better be blowing up this Lich. Make this Lich wish that he had a Yule Scepter, a Ghost Scepter, or not a Ghost, a Glimmer Cape. But you're not doing that. You need to put pressure on enemy heroes. If you don't do that, all their farm continues, because they've got more farming heroes than you. So that's why this game got hard, and it probably feels like you're alone, and that you're up against all these heroes that can farm. It's because you're not using your farm to get kills and to pressure your opponent. This puck is actually really farmed too. Lincoln's Dagon. Back to farming. See, like right there, you walked all the way to neutral camps, you farmed one neutral camp, then you walked to the wave to farm a wave. You could have gone like, even though your allies were already there, you know? This was an interesting choice. Alright, you got the Lich, that's good. Kill the Doom, perfect. I think you're morphing. You morphed a little bit too much there. Alright, I think you figured that out. Alright, you got a kill, that's good. See, like, that's the kind of stuff that you could be doing earlier, I feel. Got Aegis, all good here. Alright, you went Manta at this stage, that's good. I think that was the right choice. Still way too high on strength, by far. You don't need 2000 HP. Maximum 1600, 1800, something like that. It's not just about like potentially dying to Doom. Like, yeah, if you have 500 more HP, you might not die to Doom right now. But that's, how much is 500 HP? That's 25 strength, I think. Yeah, about that. So that means that if you had that in agility instead, you'd be hitting for 25 more damage, and you'd be attacking 25 attack speed faster, and you'd have an extra like 4 armor, which means that you farm faster on neutral camps as well. So. And
the adaptive strike damage as well.
Exactly, but I mean, you're obviously not using it on neutrals. But in terms of farming alone, having more agility means you farm faster, 100%. Oops, let me see how this fight goes. Alright, the silence done. Storm died instantly. Again, make a replicant of the AM instantly. It's just too good not to make. It's like you're gonna kill a bunch of heroes. Alright, fight went pretty good for you guys. That was good. Only mistakes, you didn't make a replicate of the anti-mage. You can cast some of those illusions as well, and it's just it's the same as his hero ones.
Well, alright. I didn't know that.
Yep. The illusion's always based on the primary hero, not the illusion. Because then it would be like a reduction of a reduction. It would be really stupid. Pressuring tower while they're dead, this is good. Yeah, I think it's fine you backed. Not a big deal. Farm their jungle for sure here. The stack's at 55, not 53. That's how you mess that up.
Yeah.
Waveform to creeps, that's cool. See the puck. You can maybe snipe him. Yeah, it's hard. If he was by the creep wave, I think you might have been able to get him. Hey, free kill. Yeah, I think you're playing fine at this stage. Just you should have pressured a little bit more early. And by early I mean the 20 to 30 minute mark.
Yeah.
More tower pressure, more pushing out lanes, stuff like that. You could have been greedier, I think.
Radiant's bottom tower has fallen. Dire's top tower has fallen.
Looks like you almost got the Scotty. Yeah, Scotty here is definitely the right choice.
This was super unfortunate, and I don't know exactly what happened.
Okay, let's break it down here. So they're checking the high ground. Oh, there's an ultimate orb on the ground. Is that yours?
So I went to buy the entire stock on the courier, and for some reason one of the ultimate orbs went into my stash, onto my hero, and one of them just dropped on the ground. And the point booster went onto the courier.
That sucks. So you lost an ultimate orb, right?
Why? I have no idea.
No, you did, right? I saw him kill it. It was yours, I assume. Yeah, you definitely lost an ultimate orb. So, I think there's sometimes shop bugs. Basically, when you went to buy it, it probably thought that you wanted to buy it on your hero instead. Let's see what happened exactly. So you flew the courier over. Yeah, it like put it on your hero for some reason.
Yeah, it came out of my butt. That was weird.
What probably happened is you probably had your hero selected when you bought them instead of the courier. So and then because one of the item slots went on your hero, it tried to put as many as it could on your hero, and it couldn't put all of them there, or something dumb like that. I don't know, it's some weird bug. You just have to be careful having both you and your courier there. You should have just selected your courier, had it by the secret shop, bought the item, sent it back. That would have been much safer. And then do a transfer, and then it would put as many items on you as possible. Is what would have happened for that to go well. So that was huge. You lost 2,000 net worth with that.
Yeah.
That's just bug though, unfortunately.
Structures are fortified.
Again, your agility is way too high.
HP, you mean?
Yeah. Yep. And I think you maybe could have killed the Doom right there. He has about 1,400. He's got a 5% magic resistance creep, but that doesn't mean shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got 11. You easily could have killed this guy. If you had like 30 more agility or something, easily dead. Like, the Ethereal Blade would have done 2 times primary damage, so you would have had like 300 agility. That would have been 675 with Ethereal Blade alone. And then this does 2 times your max agility, so that would have done another 600 damage, and you would have had Waveform. 100% Doom dies right there. You could have easily killed him. Instead, you went on somebody else. The Lich. Oh, you went on Puck, but he can just phase shift. Easily kill Doom there. And then if you can't get doomed, you're obviously going to get out afterwards, so. If you need to pick a target, start hitting people. You're walking around too much here. Looks like you're waiting for a puck, maybe.
Yeah.
And maybe it would waveform through the AM illusions to try to limit their HP. I just can't believe this guy doesn't have treads, it's so dumb. And again, make an ultimate of the AM. He blink dodged that? Looks like he blink dodged it. Yeah, you're just not using your ultimate enough, I think. And you didn't attack fast enough, you needed to pick a target there. If you waveform through the AM Manta, you know which one's the real one, and you can hit him. For example.
And in terms of like just target priority, with this team, depending on the initiation, like who, which would be the kind of the priority order?
Well, like you said, it depends on how the initiation goes. Priority 1 is kill anybody for free that you can at the start of the fight. That's usually how most carries play it. So if you can E-Blade combo the Lich before he casts any spells, do it. If there's a bigger target that's more valuable that you can also kill at the start of the fight, those should take priority. But in most fights, if it's just a normal initiation and nobody's ultra out of position, then you go on supports. So if we go back to that fight, let's I'll tell you exactly who you should have gone on. Alright, so you guys are chasing after them, Stormsphere jumps forward and goes on Doom. You're pretty far away, so you initiating on this Doom, right now, if you were one of these 2 heroes, you kill Doom instantly. Or you kill Lich, one of those 2. Kind of up to you. If Lich had a lot of disables and could mess with your Lincolns, I'd probably kill him. But you can also maybe kill the Doom. So, you approached, This guy's dying. Alright, so here's the issue. Puck used phase shift. He's probably going to get away. I'll just watch this out like really slow and I'll point out what should be happening. Alright, Puck gets away. Boom. Instantly you change targets because this guy's already raged, so he's hard to deal with. At this moment right here, it's too far for you to get to Doom and he's going to die anyways. You lost your opportunity to stun Lich because his TP is going to get out in time. Right here, what you should do is protect your supports. Because if you don't have kill options, or you're far away from those kill options, the next thing, the response to that is you need to help out your supports and prevent them from dying. So to do that, with Anti-Mage being actually fairly low, I would have just waveformed through him to the right, to over here, and then I would have started attacking the actual one. Or what you could also do is you could cast your E-Blade on the Bane, so that he doesn't take damage from Anti-Mage. Those are your two options. So I would have waveformed right, and then started attacking the Anti-Mage to get him low, and possibly kill him. Because you know his blink's off cooldown because he just blinked. So, yeah, you definitely could have saved this guy's life if you just used E-Blade. And instead you went for the hero that was already dead, and you just completely ditched your supports and your Viper. Both of these heroes got wrecked because you didn't attack the right target. You tried to E-Blade the AM to kill him. It actually did hit him. Just didn't kill him, obviously. So the fight went okay for you guys, but you could have kept the Bane alive. And you probably could have kept the Viper alive if you just focused on the AM. Like, you do tons of right-click damage right now, but you just didn't use it until, like, 2 heroes were dead on your team.
Yeah.
So that's what you messed up. So number one priority is always somebody that's out of position that you guys can burst. And it's usually not just you, it's you and your team. Kill the guy that's out of position that you can burst. If not that, then go on a squishy support. If not that, then protect your supports from the carries, assuming you can deal with them in a decent way. If you're playing like a, I don't know, let's say Leshrac carry or something, and they have a BKB gyro and he's going on your supports, you can't do shit to that guy because he's got a BKB, in which case you'd go for their backline. But if you can deal with them, and in a lot of cases carries can fight each other, then you should always pressure their carry and try to limit their ability to kill your supports. Because if you can kill them, then boom, the whole fight's over. And that's kind of how the game goes in the late game, is that at one point, one carry is going to be able to deal with the other carry, and when the game hits that point, the carry kills the other carry, and then the fight is basically over. So that was the stage here, was that you couldn't kill anybody else, so pressure the carry. That's what you messed up wrong there. So that's probably the biggest thing that's going to affect your ability to gain MMR on carries. It seems like your farming patterns are alright, but your decision making in terms of pressuring people is a little bit weak, and especially in team fights, it seems like you got a little flustered there.
Yep, that's why I called you up.
I see. Most of that stuff you just learn by playing carry a lot, I feel, and kind of having a little bit of intuitiveness, I don't know if that's a word, about which way you should go. But just imagine it this way. If a fight starts and you're not auto-attacking the whole time, you're not getting as much damage as you should. So in a lot of cases, if you spend a lot of time chasing one support down and he jukes you forever, but you eventually kill him, then your team's going to lose the fight because you weren't doing enough damage. So that's the basic principle. Always be doing damage in a team fight is usually the best way to win a fight. Guy's got an easy kill. Used an adaptive strike, which is fine. No Roche. Where's your illusion right now? Oh, it's in base. Eh. I think, again, you could just make an illusion of Viper and go push lanes out with it. He's got a butterfly, and he's got level 4 corrosive skin, so you could actually just push with that. Pushing out lanes is what you should be doing. I don't know why you're farming passively now. If you guys get hero kills, you should take advantages, and by doing that, you should push lanes. So you guys should be pushing lane and farming the jungle. But you guys are kind of standing around a little bit too much. Again, you have way too much HP. You could easily put all... Like, once you get Scotty, plus one other HP item, either Linken's or Manta, you can put all of your strength into agility. Like, 3k is so much. But that's mostly because you're farmed, not because you're not swapping correctly. Alright, got Scotty now. You guys are, Aegis. You guys shouldn't be able to... You shouldn't lose this fight no matter what. Especially with Repel. Again, don't use that on him. It's not worth it. Save it for the Lich. Or for saving an ally. What the hell is going on? Where's your hero? Let's watch this slower. That guy got doomed. I wouldn't... Oh, you already used E-Blade. But if you had E-Blade, I would think about using it on Bane, maybe. Alright, you killed the Doom. That part's good. This is good. You're attacking the anti-mage. See, that's perfect. You actually protected your supports there. And now you got an easy kill on Lich. Oh, come on, that was the easiest kill ever, man. You had an E-Blade combo. You're ready to go.
It was nighttime. I lost vision of him.
Let me see. I don't believe you. Alright, AM dies. Boom, you can see Lich right now. Easy kill. Alright, 1 second, 1 second. Go high ground. He's got Viper Strike on him. Easy kill. You walk 2 feet, or you wait for him first and then do the combo. Because at this point, you kill him with just E-Blade, Adaptive Strike. Like, that was the easiest kill ever. You 100% had that kill, but you didn't take it. You gotta take those kills.
Yep.
And there, eventually you got it, but he should have been dead like 10 seconds earlier. Kept the Storm alive. When they're all dead like this, definitely full agility. More damage, more attack speed, all that stuff. And now you just win the whole game, because naturally your damage is just so stupidly high. No other hero can compete with your right click. Barracks, it's fun to watch fast. And the 4 triples. Oh, looks like Yoshi died.
Radiant's top tower is falling.
Wow, that was a lot of damage. I see, like you're just all in. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Oh, you don't have purple. Okay, sorry. You look dead. Yep. I think that was okay. Your Viper shouldn't have bought back right away, I don't think, but.
Yeah.
But you should probably just sit in the fountain for now. Only way you lose is if you die back right now.
Yeah, I held my buyback.
That's good. Even if you get 1 or 2 racks, it's still fine. Got ulti by the zombie. Wow, that guy jumped way too. He ultied the Viper? Are you kidding me? What the heck? If you just ultied Storm, your whole team would have lost that fight. Oh, that was bad. Okay. And now you guys probably just pushed on the mid, right? Alright, you won. Alright, so, yeah. Do you have any questions about this game, or do you feel like you understand the things that you messed up a little bit?
I do. I think there's a lot of things I could have done better, but mostly it's focused on team fight decision making,
Yeah.
late game decision fight making, and then using my replicate a little more, I think, creatively and efficiently.
Yeah, and you need to poke more for kills and things like that is the other big thing. You're just not... I understand it was a scary game. They had a lot of counters to you in terms of Doom, Puck, AM, but I think you needed to poke a little bit more. You needed to be willing to push lanes out, go for ganks. You could even use a replicate, run around in the jungle, and look to see if you can find Lich. If you find Lich, you replicate, you E-Blade him, and then you TP out. You know? Stuff like that.
Definitely.
So you could get more kills. All right, let's. We have enough time to look at another replay, so let's hop into another one really quick.
All right. Well, I guess I do have a couple other kind of random questions for you before we.
Yeah, we can do that as well. We don't have to look at replays. If you just have generic questions, so we can answer those.
Yeah, maybe let's do that for a couple minutes.
Okay.
For example, one of the, like I said, one of the things I wind up doing more often than I would like is playing solo support. I just wanted to kind of hear some of your thoughts on what kind of heroes are suitable for that in the first place. Typically when I'm playing against in particular, heroes like Spec, Invoker, Slark, Legion Commander, to a lesser extent, maybe the Juggernauts and the Svens of the kind of current meta.
Okay.
And what kind of things should I be focusing on mentally in that, at least the early part of the game?
Okay. It's pretty similar to what the stuff I criticized you about for the Dazzle game. Your goals should be not that different. They should be securing your team farm, getting levels and gold yourself while you're doing that, and pressuring opponents. So the most important thing to do, and this is different than the Dazzle game, because obviously Dazzle can't pressure as well, but zone the offlaners, that's number one. You should transition into pulling, buy all the wards, buy flying courier. You can afford all that stuff. You can play solo support, but you have to do the pulling like I recommended. Like, you were a little poor in the Dazzle game the whole game because you didn't pull very effectively. That was the only reason. You would have gotten those levels if you pulled better, and then you would have had an extra 500, 600, 700 gold. And with that 700 gold extra from all the pulling in the early game, You buy all the observer wards in the game. You get sentries. Sometimes you get smokes. Like that's the first response. Like looking at the solo support as the impossible to solo support. That's not true. You can get away with it. And in fact, in a lot of games that I play in solo queue, I buy a lot of wards. I buy almost all the wards, or at least that's what it feels like. I buy a lot of wards, and you can get away with that if you're efficient at farming, if there's downtime, or you participate in enough kills. So that's the first staple. The other staple is generally when you're picking your support. I like picking pretty generic. I like getting a stun always, because if you're solo support, a lot of cores don't usually have disables. So I think it's important to grab a support that has disables or has roam potential. So if I'm playing solo support, I definitely won't pick Dazzle. Definitely not. Because you need somebody that can set up kills. And Dazzle can't set up kills, and he can't gank very well. He's more of like a team fight coverer, and he's kind of defensive, and he can zone people. That's about it. And he's good with that, but you need something that can do damage. So a good example would be Witch Doctor, maybe. Pick Witch Doctor because you have a stun, you have the ability to get solo kills, you can roam, you can heal your allies, you're pretty item independent. All of those things add up to be a pretty good solo support. Crystal Maiden I wouldn't exactly use as an example. Let's see what else. Bane is a pretty good solo support. Ogre Magi could work. Rubik, maybe Shadow Demon, Shadow Shaman could work, but he usually needs more gold. You could probably make it work with Skywrath Mage. You can make it work with the Winter Wyvern. Witch Doctor is great. Maybe Lich. I don't really recommend Lion because you need Blink Dagger. Semi-bad. Lena, kind of a similar example. But there's a lot of supports that can work pretty independent of items. Venge is great. Support Jakiro is probably fine. Disruptor. All those heroes, like there's so many supports that you can pick. Generally, I would say pick later. If you're playing solo queue, almost always you should pick later, especially if you're the only support. You want to make sure that your support's not bad against them. So if you're playing Witch Doctor and you're against a Slark, you're going to have a bad time. So if they pick Slark, you pick something that's decent against Slark, like Shadow Demon, Lion, maybe Rubik. Nah, Rubik's not very good either. But you need a solution slightly if you are the solo support. So stuns, somebody that's independent. Be efficient on pulling and farming so that you can afford all the wards and stuff. Keep the wards out. Occasionally gank for your allies. Let their lanes go better. Organize smokes with your jungle hero. All those are the things that you need to do to play solo support. It's not as scary as people make it sound. It just seems scary because people aren't efficient getting their items and pulling, which makes them feel ultra behind more than usual because they're the only support. Yeah. The only other thing I would point out is that when you're playing solo support, you might feel like you never have any time to do anything and get levels and get farm because you're always running around putting wards down and doing things for other people. The reality is that you can do that while you're doing those other things. So if you're setting up a gank mid, bring an observer ward with and put it down as you're executing the gank. That way, by walking there, you've used your time to put a ward down and you've used it to gank. That's how you have to get efficient. Or if you go somewhere and win a team fight, immediately as all those heroes are dying, you instantly run. Like let's say you TP to the top lane as Radiant, you win a team fight there and you've got observer wards ready. As soon as the fight happens, your team's going to take that tower. You don't go push the tower with them because you know they're going to take it without you. What you do instead is you walk into the enemy jungle and you put a ward down while they're all dead. And that's because you know they're not going to be there because they're dead. Or if they're respawning, they're not going to instantly TP back to the jungle. They'll walk back to the jungle, which will take 15 seconds. So as soon as the team fight's won, that's when you ward. If you're ganking, that's when you ward. If you do it efficiently, then you're not spending time running around trying to ward when all of their heroes are alive, and then you're going to run into somebody in the jungle and get killed and be like, why don't I have another support to run with me while I do this? This is bullshit. It's not their fault. It's your fault for not doing it efficiently. You can get away with solo support. It's not very fun, but it can be done. Okay? Does that answer the questions? Don't be scared of it. Just be better at playing support, and it's not a problem. You can get away with it.
No, totally agreed. And I often do get away with it. So yeah. The two heroes that you kind of didn't mention that I play a lot in this situation are Oracle and Silencer. I'm just curious as to why those would be harder to pull off.
Silencer he doesn't have very good disables, so I feel like if you're playing from behind in terms of either levels or gold, he's a worse hero. You also can't get solo kills very well, unless you're really far ahead or you have some crazy item or something. Oracle can work. I think as a solo support, I just neglected to look at his hero and pick him. So I'd say Oracle can work, but again, similar thing, Oracle's setup is not very good. He's got damage, but he doesn't have setup, and generally the best way to play from behind or to play when you're losing is when you have stuns. So stuns really help. So Oracle can solo support, but you can't just like show up mid when your other mid hero is like some passive farmer like Lone Druid and get a kill. Like, it's not as easy. That's why I like having stuns, because especially in pubs, because it guarantees that no matter what lanes you have, you're gonna have at least one stun in that gank, and Oracle can't do that. So that's why it's hard to pick those kind of heroes. I feel like Silencer and Oracle, it's more difficult to adapt to all situations, whether that's gank, whether that's play defensive, whether that's push towers. And ganking is generally the most important thing to have in Dota right now, just because of comeback mechanics, and you don't know how good the lanes are going to be, stuff like that. Having the ability to kill opponents is super big. That's why I like those heroes, the other heroes I mentioned.
Gotcha. All right, that makes sense. Well, I guess in terms of other Dota-related questions, I definitely do feel like the usual meta for the games that I play in solo queue are early teamfight or early ganks or both. The massive nonstop push game was a little bit, I would say, uncommon, certainly not rare.
Okay.
But it revolves around that kind of thing, and that's one of the reasons why I feel less comfortable playing heroes like Morphling as solo queue carries. I don't play Slark or Jug very often, so are there other kinds of heroes I should look at that either can be used better, or, obviously we talked about Morphling and how I should be maxing out the waveform first to get much more out of the nukies.
Yeah.
But what other kinds of things can I...
At your MMR, you can play any hero. It doesn't matter. But they will slightly affect how effective you are at winning games. If you pick the worst carry in the game, and you try to play him as a carry, and you're up against the best carry in the game, he's going to have like a 5 to 10% increased chance to outcarry you, for example. But it all still comes down to how well you know the hero. So the way that I look at it is that, let's assume a player is 3000 MMR. If they pick a hero they're good at, they're going to play effective to a 3300 MMR player. If they pick a hero they're bad at, they're going to play at a 2700 or below level player, which is going to affect whether or not they win the game. If they pick a hero that is out of the meta, it's going to, at normal performance, they're going to have like essentially 2800 MMR points. If they play a hero that's in the meta, they're going to essentially have 3300 MMR points. But if you pick a hero that's bad, but you understand how to play them better than your opponent because you understand their strengths and weaknesses better, then you're going to be playing them higher than 3k. So, like, when you're at 3k, it honestly doesn't matter what hero you pick, as long as you play them better than your opponents.
Yeah.
So you just got to play better than your opponents. You can pick whatever the hell you want. If you really want to be a little dirty and pick the best heroes in the patch, then just follow the pro scene. See what heroes the pros pick. And the heroes that the pros pick are almost guaranteed to going to be the best heroes of the patch. So, and then if you want to know how to play them, just watch a couple replays. See how they play them, what items they get, what their farming patterns are like, how fast do they get certain items, how often do they get successful ganks off, and how do they set those up. Like, those are the things that you need to learn how to do, and once you learn how to do those things, you'll easily raise your MMR.
Yeah, sure.
So don't be afraid about what you pick. Just pick what you like, and pick what you feel like you understand, and if you're not winning your games, watch how pros play them, or better players than you, and then you'll understand what things you're doing wrong, or why you're being more inefficient.
Yep, sure. All right, well, I don't know if I have any two other specific questions at the moment, other than, are you going to keep offering these kinds of coaching things in the future, or is this more of you had a free week, so some good chances for some hours there?
I definitely had a free week, but at least in terms of early morning coaching, I definitely will have spots like that for a while. Although I just have some trips coming up, basically. Sure. I'm gonna try to go to Texas to visit my family at the end of this month, and then in April I'm gonna take a vacation, go to the UK for like 10 days, and then at the end of that month, then I'm going to Manila for the ESL Manila. So yeah. It's basically just based on trips and stuff like that. I haven't gone on a vacation since like Christmas, so. Yeah, just taking some breaks and stuff. So yeah, I'm definitely still going to offer coaching for a while, and probably have at least 3 days a week availability.
Cool, that's great. For me, I work in investing and financial advice, so.
Oh, cool.
Typically, weekends are easier. This was obviously a bank holiday, stock market holiday.
Okay. I'll try to keep at least Saturday open or Sunday, one of the two, for sure. For people that obviously work during normal work hours, so.
Yeah. Although from that perspective, I guess maybe this should be off the record, but I am one of the things I've been curious about for a long time since I've been such a huge fan of the whole esports scene is, how do you guys, who I assume typically have, less regular income streams and kind of infrequent bouts of income, how do you guys manage your finances? How do you think about, obviously a more complicated budgeting and savings and investment kind of approach?
It's more complicated, I guess, because most of us are essentially our own businesses, So I think just about everybody wings it independently. And I would assume that a lot of us, I don't know how involved everybody is with investment account kind of stuff. I have some things like that I've done by myself, but I'm not super involved in it personally. And I imagine most people are like that. Some people are more involved. Some people are less. So I think it just varies depending on the person, pretty much.
Is that true for both the casting community as well as the professional players?
I would guess and maybe generalize that on average professional players are less involved in that, but with the exception of the ones that have now won a shitload of money. The ones that win a shitload of money, I am sure their teams have said, like, look, you're rich as fuck now, you need to make this last, and they've taught them. But for the ones not earning much, I would imagine those people are more worried about paying budgets and breaking even rather than looking forward. And that's one of the downsides of being your own business and doing something that's unexplored. You're focused on the making it and less so on the investment area.
No, I imagine it's going to be it's a super big challenge for everybody, and obviously probably still quite a learning curve for the guys who have won large sums of money, but obviously an ongoing struggle for people who haven't.
Yeah, probably true. So,
but it's something that I personally, as a huge fan, again, would love to try to help with. If at all, basically offering our company's services or my own advice in those kinds of situations. Is that something that would be interesting or of use to you guys or anybody?
Yeah, I'm sure it would be, definitely. Yeah.
How would I go about kind of, I guess, not pitching myself, but offering that to people like yourself?
Word of mouth, talking to them is one way. I'm sure I'll definitely ask you a couple questions after this call. But word of mouth is a good way. You can send people tweets and stuff like that. Just say, like, if you're approaching somebody in the esports community that's essentially famous for whatever game, the best way is just to be really down to earth. Don't be too fanboy. You can say, like, I'm a fan. I was wondering if you wanted any, like, free help with investment related things. Like, you could say something like that and you may get responses. For example, you can send emails. Private emails are usually good. Tweets directly at them are probably fine as well. Just lighthearted approaches. Don't fanboy too hard, and people will be receptive if they're receptive. That's probably the best advice I could give to that.
Yeah, all right, that's actually really helpful. I think I'll probably start to do that because, again, I have tons of friends here who I give free advice to, and because everyone kind of in our age group, talking 25 to 35 has tons of questions, and it's a super underserviced area just in terms of financial education that I know I definitely didn't get at any point going through any part of my schooling, whether it was school, college, or thereafter. So I kind of had to figure it out myself, and it's one of the things that I find a lot of value in, and I find that when I give that advice to my friends, it's hugely helpful, especially with people who have tough times with student debt, for example.
Yeah.
So that's something I think I'd like to start doing more often, and if there's anything you can do to help me offer that, we can talk about that later. That'd be great.
All right, that sounds good. Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that a bit later.
Cool.
All right, any more Dota questions before we head out?
Not for now. I think I'll try to build some more up for the next time we have a coaching session.
Okay, that sounds great. Happy to hear that. Let me know if you have any more questions that you think of later. Just send me a message on Skype or email. Either is fine. And let me know if you ever want coaching again.
Right.
And if there's no spots on the chart, feel free to just message me and ask me what my schedule's like. Sometimes I'll close dates off before I travel that I could potentially coach on, things like that. I can coach potentially later times than the schedule says. Just let me know if you want those. Okay?
All right, that sounds great. And if you have any questions about financial stuff, feel free to shoot them at me whenever.
All right, for sure, I will. All right, thanks a lot. Goodbye.